Hi everyone! Welcome back to another Planetarium live stream. My name is Jessica. I am the director of the Planetarium, and with me today are two familiar faces. If you've been to these streams before, I will let them introduce themselves, starting with Eli, since he is to my left.
Hi, I'm Eli. I'm a physics student at UMD.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm a physics graduate student at UMD.
So tonight we are going to be talking all about the Zodiac and horoscopes and astrology and kind of getting an understanding of how it all started and how it's changed since it was first kind of thought up. So if you have any questions throughout the show, leave them in the comments. Eli will be watching those for us and will let us know. But with that, I'm going to switch our view over to Stellarium. So if you've seen some of our shows before, you may recognize this program. We use this for our star shows. This is a free planetarium program that you can download for yourself at the link in the description. But we're going to start off with this and kind of take a look at the sun, because one of the kind of base things you need to understand when talking about astrology or zodiac is how the sun appears to move throughout the sky. And so to make this easier for us to see, I have turned off our atmosphere so that we can actually see what stars are up during the day when the sun is up. And you'll see that there is this kind of reddish line arching across the sky. And this is the kind of important line that we're going to be talking about today. This is known as the ecliptic. And so we know throughout the course of a year, as the Earth orbits the sun, we see different things up in the night sky and things like that. And that's because as the Earth orbits the sun, our view of the sun changes with respect to the background stars. And so for us here on Earth, what we end up seeing is the sun appears to move across the sky against the background of stars. And so I'm going to start this moving forward day by day. And we can see that each day the sun slowly moves eastward across the sky. Zoom back out a little bit, passing through different parts of the sky. And so this ecliptic line is pretty much marking the sun's path across the sky throughout the year. And you can also see that this ecliptic passes through several constellations, and the planets also lie very near to this ecliptic line. And that's because our solar system is like a flat disk. And so this ecliptic is a representation of our orbit around the sun, and the other planets have orbits that lie kind of in the same plane. And so all of the planets do appear kind of in the same region or along this ecliptic. All right, so with that said, let's pop back over to us. So that is the ecliptic line, and our kind of understanding of how astrology and horoscopes and things got started actually starts out several thousand years ago with the Babylonians. And so the Babylonians had this understanding of this ecliptic line, this path that the sun takes across the sky, and they decided to use that as a way to tell time. And so they took the zodiac and they split it into 12 equal segments. And they picked 12 because 12 was a significant number to the Babylonians. They used it a lot as far as keeping time, dates, things like that. They used base 12 systems pretty frequently. And so they have now this ecliptic broken into 12 equal segments. And what they believed was that the gods sent them messages through the positions of the planets, the moon, and the sun in each of these 12 segments along the ecliptic. And so they didn't think that this was necessarily the gods or the heavens influencing what was happening on Earth. They saw it as a way for the gods to send them messages. And so what they tried to do was take significant events that happened to them, look at where the planets and moon and sun were along the ecliptic, and try and use that to decode the language that the gods were using to send them messages. And so that's kind of how it all started. And then this kind of way of thinking that the Babylonians had got mixed with some Egyptian ways of keeping time via the stars. And all of that kind of melded together and made its way to Greece, thanks to Alexander the Great and all of the conquering he did. And that leads us to what is kind of what our understanding of the zodiac and horoscopes and things are built on, which is what the Greeks did with this afterwards. So like the Babylonians, they split that ecliptic into 12 segments, and they attributed each of those 12 segments to a specific constellation that lied within that segment. And they used their own constellations, which are the ones that most people are familiar with. And so those became known as the 12 zodiac signs, the 12 zodiac constellations. Now, each of these constellations are different sizes. But the segments themselves were all the same size, so it already isn't perfect, but they tried to make it work. And unlike the Babylonians, who saw the positions of everything along the ecliptic as a coded message, the Greeks really thought that the positions of the planets and the stars and the sun and the moon were having an actual influence on the world. And so they believed that for example, someone's personality traits and what they would end up doing with their life was determined the instant they were born based on the location of all of the planets, the moon, and the sun along the ecliptic. And that became your kind of horoscope. And so they used this to try and figure out things about people, things about events, whether make predictions on whether certain battles would go well. And they tried to predict the future, which was seen at the time as very scholarly work, because you had to have a deep understanding of how the planets and the sun and the moon move to be able to make predictions about where they will be in a future date. And so it was left to the scholars to do this, and a lot of the early astronomers were known for being able to do this because they had that understanding of how the things moved. So the zodiac signs as we know them, again, are based on the Greeks. And let's switch back over, or actually, I'm giving Lindsay control to talk about this. So let's switch back over to, where's it at? There we go. Stellarium, and I'm going to give Lindsay control and turn it over to her, and she is going to tell us. Oops, I think I moved it on you, Lindsay. The atmosphere is back on. Sorry. She's going to walk us through these 12 zodiac constellations and tell us a little bit about them.
Okay, there we go. So the constellation that the sun is in right now is the zodiac constellation of Capricorn. It is a half goat, half fish. Can't you tell? One thing that people think is when we finally show them, the patterns of the constellations, they're suddenly going to make sense, and they don't. The patterns don't make sense. You really have to use your imagination. I kind of see like a goat head here with like a goat front feet and then the fish tail kind of back here. So how did we get this half goat, half fish? Well, at one point, it was all goat, and it was actually the goat god named Pan, and he was being attacked by a monster named Typhon, and he was running and running and running, hoping that Typhon would kind of get tired and stop chasing him, but it wasn't happening. And so finally he was running towards a body of water, and so he thought to get rid of Typhon once and for all, he would jump in this body of water. Well, Typhon followed him into the body of water as well. So Zeus wanted to help out Pan, and so he turns the back half of the goat god into a fish tail to help him swim through the water a lot faster and finally be able to escape from the monster Typhon. The next zodiac's right here, Aquarius. Aquarius is the water bearer to the gods, and his real name in Greek mythology is actually Ganymede. And Zeus approached Ganymede about being the water bearer of the gods, but Ganymede took care of his grandparents. And so if he left to be cupbearer for the gods for Zeus, then nobody would be able to take care of his grandparents, and they really needed him. And so they kind of struck up a deal. The big dog constellation, Canis Major, was trained to take care of Ganymede's grandparents so that Ganymede could go up and be cupbearer for the gods with Zeus. This next zodiac is one of the biggest constellations in the sky. It's Pisces. And it's I kind of imagine that it's like two fish jumping out of water. And so we've got one fish right here, and then kind of like a stream of water down here, and then up to the other fish that's right here. So we've got two fish for Pisces. And Pisces story actually starts with Aphrodite, one of the goddesses, and her son Cupid. And Cupid was playing in a river, and he accidentally started drowning, and luckily these fish that are now making it Pisces were able to go and save Cupid and return him to his mom Aphrodite. And so these fish were put up in the sky to kind of be honored for saving Cupid. Right next to one of the largest constellations in the sky is one of the smallest constellations in the sky, Aries. Aries is right here. It's only 4 stars. I'm sorry if you're in Aries. This is a goat. There's a couple of different ways you can imagine it. Some people just see kind of the horn of the goat, or the ram, sorry, or you see the ram kind of jumping through the night sky. This ram has to do with a king and his son named Phrixus. So this king thought that his son Phrixus was preventing him from being rich, and so Zeus, he wanted to try to kill Phrixus, his son. And so Zeus saved Phrixus from his father. And to do that, he actually gave Phrixus a golden ram to save him from his father. And then Phrixus sacrificed this golden ram as kind of a thank you to Zeus. And the gods brought that ram to the heavens, and it became the constellation of Aries. So as we continue on, like Jessica said earlier, we've got all of these zodiac constellations along the ecliptic, and so that is the line that we are following around the sky to see some of these different zodiac constellations. So now after Aries, which is over here now, we've got Taurus the bull. We've got a long bull horn here and another long bull horn here, and his body is kind of back over here somewhere. So Taurus actually is Zeus. So Zeus actually could turn into different animals, and one day he was walking around as a bull, and there was a woman named Europa who thought that it was a very handsome bull. She didn't know that it was Zeus. And so Europa and Zeus, as the bull, kind of had fun all day, and Europa was riding the bull, and Zeus really enjoyed that particular day on Europa, and so he put his bull self up into the sky to kind of honor that. Next, we have the Gemini twins. There are so many crazy stories about the Gemini twins. So first, the twin on the top is Castor. So here's his head. And then he has a long body with short little legs. He's linked arm in arm with his brother Pollux, and Pollux has a short body with really long legs. And so their sister actually was Helen of Troy. And in one story with them, there was a fight between those brothers and another set of brothers. And the Gemini twins, when they were fighting with these two other brothers, one of them got injured. And so that was Castor. And then Pollux wanted to take revenge for his brother. And so he did, and he killed one of the other brothers. Eventually, the fight was getting so bad that Pollux just felt really bad for his brother and wanted Zeus to kind of give Castor immortality. And so Castor and Pollux were placed up in the night sky by Zeus. The next two zodiac constellations are Cancer the Crab and Leo the Lion, and both of these are actually in stories with another constellation, Hercules. But we won't be doing Hercules in this show because we are only looking at the zodiacs. So Hercules, he was, really strong. He didn't know how to control his own strength, and so unfortunately, he accidentally killed a lot of people, and he felt really bad about this, and so he decided to go to this king and ask the king how he could get people to like him again and how he could kind of repay them for all of the people that he accidentally killed. And so the king gave him 12 things to do to get people to like him again. One of the things was to defeat a monster named a Hydra. A Hydra is kind of like a dragon without wings, but every time you cut off one head, 3 more grow, so really difficult to defeat. So Cancer is actually a crab. So I can imagine like there's a circle here, and then kind of his crab claws and legs. So Hera, who was the wife of Zeus, she wanted Hercules to lose, and so she sent little Cancer the Crab to go and nip at Hercules' heels, hoping that it would distract Hercules and Hercules would get eaten by the Hydra. Unfortunately for Hera and Cancer the Crab, Cancer got stepped on by Hercules, and Hercules was able to defeat the Hydra. Now, Leo the Lion, when he was living, he was known as the Nemean Lion, and he was a magical lion. He had impenetrable skin, and so nobody was able to kill this Nemean lion. He was kind of considered immortal. No swords or arrows could pierce the skin of the lion. So one of Hercules' tasks was to finally kill the lion. Well, Hercules didn't really need swords or arrows because he was so strong, so he was able to strangle the lion to kill it. And then it was dead, and it was put up into the night sky. It also lost its magical powers, and so Hercules took the skin to wear as like a coat. And
Oh, what happened? I think you closed it. Hold on, I'll get it back up. If you want to keep talking about Leo.
yeah, so Hercules took the fur as kind of like a robe. And so he's wearing it around, and people thought of Leo the lion as being kind of immortal, right? And so because of that, when Hercules was now wearing Leo the lion's fur as a robe, it actually made people more afraid of Hercules than they were to begin with, because Hercules defeated this immortal thing. So that whole plan to get people to like him again didn't really work out for Hercules very well.
Almost there. All right. So we are on
Virgo.
Yep. All right. There you go. Oh, wait, no, I had to give you control. Okay, we're back. You should be back in control.
We've got Leo over here, and then Virgo. Virgo is another gigantic constellation. So I kind of imagine she's laying on her side. Here's her body. One arm goes off this way, the other arm goes off this way, and a leg down here, and another leg down here. Now, Virgo in Greek mythology, she is actually Persephone. And Persephone is the daughter of the goddess Demeter, and Demeter is the goddess of the harvest. So one day, Hades, a ruler of the underworld, kidnapped Persephone to kind of have her live with him. And Demeter, her mother, had no idea where she was for like several months. Eventually, somebody finally told her that Persephone was down in the underworld with Hades. So she goes down to Hades to get her back, and Hades tells her that, the underworld is now Persephone's home because she ate a pomegranate seed there, which doesn't seem like a big deal for us, but in Greek culture, where you eat is your home. So eventually they came to the deal where Demeter could have Persephone for half of the year, and then Hades gets Persephone for the other half of the year. And when Demeter has Persephone, because she controls the harvest and the weather, it's nice weather, and then the rest of the year it's a bad weather because she's sad and misses her daughter. Libra is right over here. I'm sure you can tell what it is already. It's a set of scales. Yeah, so I kind of picture Libra on its side. Here's kind of the top of the scales. These are scales to like weigh things. And then one scale would be over here, and then the other scale would be over here. So Libra was placed up in the night sky to kind of honor a just decision. There was Persephone, again, is in this story also, and Aphrodite and a baby Adonis. And both Aphrodite and Persephone wanted baby Adonis, but eventually they came to an agreement, just like Demeter and Hades, where Persephone would get Adonis for half of the year, and then Aphrodite would get Adonis for the other half of the year. And so because that was such a just decision, they put a set of scales up in the night sky. All right, we got two more, Scorpio and Sagittarius. Scorpio is super cool. Here's his kind of like head and some claws. And then his body comes back this way with the tail curling around there. So Scorpio is actually in a story with a constellation named Orion. And Orion, he was in love with the goddess of the hunt, Artemis. And since she was the goddess of the hunt, Orion thought he would hunt a bunch of animals, but Artemis was really only in favor of hunting for food and for clothing and important things like that. She was not in favor of hunting just for fun. And so this made her dislike Orion so much she decided she wanted to kill him. And so she sent Scorpio, the scorpion, to go sting Orion and kill him. And so he did. Well, after Orion died, Artemis thought maybe she took it a little bit too far. So she put Orion up into the night sky, and then she put Scorpio up into the night sky as well to honor the job that he did for her in killing Orion. And then Sagittarius, we have right over here. Another way to find Sagittarius, besides trying to find a centaur, because that's what Sagittarius is, a centaur, half human, half horse, is actually to look for a teapot. So we have a kettle here, lid, handle, and spout. So as I said, Sagittarius is a centaur. So this story actually starts out with Hercules again. He and a friend were out hunting one day, and while they were relaxing, they left their wineskin open, and so some centaurs came to come and steal the wine. But Hercules woke up and fought the centaurs, and one of them got an arrow to its heart, Chiron, and he ended up dying. And Hercules wanted Chiron placed in the night sky because before he died, he suffered for a very long time, and Hercules felt bad about that. And then we are all the way back to Capricorn again. Right up here, the half goat, half fish.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna take back control. All right. So what the Greeks did is with these 12 zodiac constellations, they attributed different traits to these zodiac signs based off of kind of the stories or the people or things that they were named after. So, for example, Taurus is attributed to the traits being strong and dependable because that's what a bull is. And so what we know of as kind of our horoscope is based off of this idea the Greeks started, that your personality traits are based off of where things were, the sun, the moon, the planets, on the day and time you were born. But that's kind of been condensed down to just being where the sun was when you were born. And so when you hear people talking about, I'm a Capricorn, what that means is the sun was in the constellation of Capricorn when you were born. Except it probably wasn't. So these dates that designate the 12 portions of the year attributed to each of the zodiac constellations were set several thousand years ago, about 2,000 years ago. And since then, something has changed. Because the Earth wobbles as it's orbiting and spinning around, it precesses like a top. And that means where our North Pole is pointing changes. And so I'm going to head over to the north real quick. And I have the current North Pole marked. And you'll notice that it's nowhere near the North Star Polaris, which is the North Star as we know it. And so it happens over the years and let me jump ahead several years at a time, as the Earth wobbles, and it takes about 26,000 years for each wobble to happen, we point to different places in the sky. And so what used to be where the North Pole was pointed before is now different today. And that has an effect on where the sun is along the ecliptic. So back then, on January 1st, the sun was in Capricorn. But now we've jumped to today, 2020, and we see that the sun is actually in Sagittarius. So these dates for your zodiac sign have shifted and changed, but the charts that are still used today are based off of what the sky was like 2,000 years ago. And you may actually recall, I think it's been a few years now, there was a huge kind of media blast of all of your zodiac signs have changed. And this is why. This was it kind of getting out and being realized that these tables were out of date now. And so, does this actually tell us anything about personality traits or predict the future? Probably not. There have been a lot of scientific studies to test the predictions made by astrology, and none of them have showed any truth to them. But I'm not here to tell anyone not to have fun with it. It's completely fine to have fun, look up your sign, look up your horoscope. It's a lot of fun, even though it's not science. And I think we're going to end on that before I offend too many people with that. Lindsay or Eli, do you have anything else you want to add?
I have more of a question than anything I want to add. With the history of it, where does the Ophiuchus come in? Like, when did that happen? Was that a Babylonian zodiac?
I don't think so. I think there are, when you look at the ecliptic, there are 13 that kind of lie on it well, but they wanted to keep to 12.
Oh, so
they just cut one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's where that came from.
Okay.
And the insistence on the number 12 was the remnants of the Babylonians.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, 12 comes up a lot in astronomy. It's actually really weird how much it comes up.
Well, a lot of the Greeks were based on the Babylonians, who really liked the number 12 and 12-based systems, so it's not, I guess, too surprising when you really think about it. So yeah. All right, did we have any questions come in?
No, we did not.
No? All right, well, if you do have any, now is a great time to ask them while we tell you a little bit about our schedule for the next week. So on Wednesday, we're going to be having a very fun and positive show called Doomsday Earth, which is all of the ways that Earth could potentially be destroyed. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're excited. And then next Saturday is August 1st, which I cannot believe that we are already in August. And so as we do at the start of every month, we'll be doing a show about what's up in August, telling you, planets, moon phases, all of the things that you can find up in the sky in August. So yeah, unless we've had anything come in, then we will wrap it up. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. If you want to catch any shows that you may have missed, you can find them on our YouTube channel or on the video section of our Facebook page. We hope you have a wonderful evening, a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will see you again next week. So, bye everyone.